If you are looking for a speaker for your organization, look no further than Dr. Janice Fortman, an international speaker, award-winning author, and producer and host of Relationship Matters TV. What sets her apart is that she connects the heart of relationships with the power of communication and leadership. Dr. Jan's goal is not simply to inspire audiences for a moment, but to give them the insight and tools to transform the way they live, lead, and relate to others. Contact her at drjan@drjanicespeaks.com or 1-877-667-7325.
Well, hello there. It is Dr. Jan at Relationship Matters TV. I hope everyone is having a beautiful, blessed morning or afternoon or evening, wherever you are in the world. I'm having a beautiful evening now, but today, oh God, you ever have one of those days when you have your schedule? I'm going to do this. I've got to do this. And I'm going to do this. And from the very beginning of the day, the schedule is just like gone. I plan to be here from this time to that time. And then I have travel time. I go from here to here. Then I have to do this and that. And no. The universe says, no, we have something totally different for you today. So this has been a hectic day, but this evening here in Chicago, Illinois, I am relaxed. I am very, very excited for the show this evening. Now, it's 7:00. For you who are in other time zones, I'm in the Central Time Zone, Daylight Savings Time. And for those who are not in the States, just let you know where I am and all that. Well, guess who the guest is today? It's me. I am my own guest today. And I thought I would come up with something, Mother's Day was just a few weeks away. And I thought I would just come up with a theme today. So let me tell you what the theme is. If you know the title of the show, if you looked it up, is The Mother-Daughter Effect. Love, Lessons, and Legacy. For you who are out there, I am a relationship coach, but I have a niche. And this is I guess you would call it my passion niche. And that is an adult daughter, aging mother relationship coach. When I tell people that, men and women, I'll get a, oh, wow, that is so needed. You need to talk to my mom. You need to talk to my sister. You need to talk to my wife. And then I'll get women who will say, you know what? You need to talk to my husband. Or you need to talk to my brother. Because they need to understand what is going on here. What I can say is the adult daughter, aging mother relationship is one of the most dynamic, often hard to understand relationships. There are so many factors in this relationship that makes it either a wonderful, loving, positive relationship or one of those just the opposite. not a lot of love, but you have a lot of conflict, um, just all kinds of things. I have different clients who come to me and they just let me know that they have this wonderful, beautiful relationship with their mom. But then I have other clients who come to me and either they're not speaking with their mom or their mom is not speaking to them, and there are all kinds of reasons why. My goal is for reconciliation, for forgiveness. But today, I want to talk about something else. Every mother leaves something behind through her words or her silence, her love, her sacrifices, her strength, and even her struggles. So, today, I want us to explore the conversations, connections, and generations that shape our lives. And when I say our lives, I'm not just speaking of the lives of adult daughters and their moms. I'm speaking of all of our lives because the mother daughter relationship affects all of our lives, our personal lives, and our professional lives. And I know that a lot of you out there agree with me. So, first of all, what I want to do is just talk a little bit about why I became an adult daughter aging mother coach or relationship coach. Well, it had to do with the journey of my mom and myself. I'm the only girl. Right now, I have two living brothers, but I have four brothers. And as my mother and I as we got older, we were having difficulty. We had difficulty communicating with each other. Sometimes we would get along very, very well, and sometimes we wouldn't. I could say blue, she could say black. I didn't understand my mom, and sometimes I thought that my mom didn't understand me. And I also thought that it was just me, and it was just my mom. Until I found out that through a survey that I did of 50 women across the United States, and I asked them all kinds of questions about the relationships that they had with their moms. So now these were, well, really moms and daughters. And I found that a lot of it if they had issues, a lot of it had to do with communication issues. So I'm going to give you a picture, show you a picture. This is a picture of me and my mom. You can see that this was a few years ago. She has passed. She passed in 2017. But this is a picture of me and my mom. Her name, she's from the South, Jessie May. So anyway, so what I wanted to do was just start off talking about love languages. Now, if you still have your mom or your adult daughter, do you know each other's love language? Now, when most of the time when we're talking about love languages, we're talking about romance, or we might be talking about our husbands or boyfriends or something like that. But love languages usually come about with a lot of different personal relationships. So I'm looking at you. I can just tell from the numbers that quite a few of you are out there, and I really appreciate you tuning in. So you can put it in the chat. Do you know what your mom or your daughter's love language is? Well, when I was younger, I didn't know what that meant. I didn't even care. But but I found out after just kind of searching and thinking about it, what my mother's love language was. Her love language, she had two, but you usually have a primary and a secondary. But her primary one was gifts. She loved to receive gifts. And she loved to receive gifts, when she didn't know they were coming. So, in other words, not just Christmas and Mother's Day and stuff like that, but just any day, any day. But Christmas, oh my God, was her favorite. She looked forward. She was the matriarch of the family. So it was her children and her grandchildren and nephews and nieces. And we had a chair, and I called it the Queen's chair. She would sit in that chair. And oh my goodness, she would say, okay, when are we going to open the gifts? Where are my gifts? And we would shower her with all kinds of gifts. Now, my love language, and I'm going to say this because remember what I said at the very beginning, and I said every mother leaves something behind through words, love, sacrifices, strength, and even struggles. Well, guess what my love language is? Gifts. I love to receive gifts. Gifts, they don't have to be big. They can be just little, just small things, but surprise. So where does that come from? I think that's something that came from my mom. Now, I know other women, especially clients, and I ask them, do you know your mom's love language? Do you know your daughter's love language? And sometimes it's like, well, no. And then I ask them, okay, so if you're just giving them gifts, do you ever give them gifts? Well, sometimes. Well, does it really light up their faces? Well, sometimes it does. And sometimes it's just like, oh, well, thank you. But it's no biggie. Then I said, okay, well, what about compliments? They'll say, oh, a couple of clients will say, gosh, if I give my mother a compliment, oh my God, it just lights up her day. And then I'll have moms to say the same thing. Or acts of service. Well, I know my daughter lights up if I have cooked something special and I bring it to her. And when I get there, I just say to her, well, you know what? I'll babysit for you. Acts of service. So all these love languages. Now, what I want to tell you is, if you don't know what your mom or your daughter's love language is, just be a little bit more observant and you'll find out. So now I also talked about lessons learned through sacrifice, lessons related to responsibilities, lessons related to relationships. Well, responsibilities. I got my first job when I was 16 years old. And I was so proud about this job. And I got my paycheck. And I thought, oh my goodness, what I am going to do with this money. I'm going to buy me some clothes. I'm going to buy me some shoes. I just had just all of this. And I came home and I showed my mom the paycheck. And she said, oh, you know what? That's wonderful. And then she said, now you're going to cash the check. I said, yeah. I'm going to cash this check. And right back then, it's like I could go to a currency exchange. And she said, so once you cash that check, you have to give me, I don't remember the amount, but you have to give me a certain amount of money. And I thought, give you a certain amount of money? Why? She said, well, you're using my electricity, you're using the gas, you're using my toilet tissue, or you're eating my food. I said, what? What? What are you talking about? She said, I just told you, in a nice, calm voice. Why do I have to give you money for this? I always use your electricity and eat your food. And she said, yeah, but now you have a job and now you have to help pay. I thought that was the meanest thing. I'm just making this little money and you taking my money. But lessons. You know what that taught me? That taught me responsibility. That one of these days I was going to have to pay for my own food, buy my food. It just taught me responsibility. Of course, I did not realize that until a whole lot later. When you look back and you think, another one. And I thought it was, oh my God, me. So I was buying my first car. So now a lot of you know I am a senior citizen. My first car was a 67 yellow Mustang with, at that time, bucket seats and a black vinyl top. I was so excited, but I didn't have the down payment, but I wanted this car. And I asked my mom for the down payment. And I said, well, Mom, it'll help me to go to work, help me to go to school. I was still in school. And she said, okay, you can have the down payment. So we went to the bank. We got to the bank, to the teller. She looked at me, and I'm all smiley. And she said, I'm going to give you half of the money. What? I'll give you half of the down payment. What you'll have to do is find the other half. What? God, I thought that was so mean. Oh my God. And I guess the way I looked at her, she said, do you want it? I'm like, yes, ma'am. Okay. Lesson. I learned to depend on me. 2 lessons in responsibility, right? That one was depend on me. Don't always look for a handout. So put in the chat any lessons that you got that you probably thought you didn't realize that they were lessons until you got older. And let's talk about sacrifices. My mom, she didn't start out as a single mom, but she ended up as a single mom because of divorce. And she had me, and she had, it was 4 of us. So 3 boys, 1 girl. And she had to work. And she worked at the United States Post Office. She had to get up early in the morning, get on a bus. Her trip was at least an hour to get to work, or even more, especially when it was snowing and cold. And when I look back, it's like, at that time, there was something called, well, still they have it now, but at that time they called it public aid. She could have gotten on public aid. In other words, she could have just stayed home and gotten money from the government. But her thing was, she's independent, she has these responsibilities, and she sacrificed. And when I look back, it's like she sacrificed so much with working and making sure that we always had food to eat, nice clothes, all of that. So when I looked at that, I thought, gee, she made a lot of sacrifices for us, for her children. We lived in, well, the projects. But her thing was, I'm taking my children out of the projects. I'm sacrificing. She'd be tired and all, so she could buy a house for us to live in. So instead of us growing up in low income housing, we grew up after a certain point of time, of course, in a house. And so sometimes when you look back uh, at the sacrifices, did your mom make a lot of sacrifices? Did you recognize them? Sacrificing so you could eat first and then she could eat later. Just all kinds of sacrifices. So I just wanted to point that out because the name of the show is The Mother Effect. Now, what about relationships? My mother had a lot of friends, but they were really, really good friends. And she would tell me all the time, Janice, everybody is not going to be your friend. You need to choose your friends wisely. Choose friends who you feel support you. Choose friends who lift you up. Be careful about your friends. And she said, look at my friends. And her friends loved her. And she loved them. And I could see that. She said, make sure you have friends who are authentic, who are real, and who love you. And she would see me maybe with someone when I was young in elementary school and even in high school. And then in high school, she would point out to me, she would say, Janice, do you really know who she is? I just don't have a good feeling about her. Well, of course, I was like, well, she's fine. Everything is fine. She said, well, be careful. And whenever she would say that, she was usually right about that person. And I use that even today. Everybody's not my friend. You have acquaintances. So I learned to choose and I learned to kind of discern who was really a friend, who was not a friend. Someone who was jealous. I remember one person, she told me, she's really not your friend. And I was like, an adult. She said, she's not really your friend. And if you notice, there are certain things that she says to you. Well, I'm like, hey, because happy-go-lucky me. And she said, no, you better watch your friend. And I remember when I received my doctorate degree, and I was so proud. And this person said to me, I'm not calling you no doctor. Not calling you doctor. And I thought, what? Well, of course, I don't want my friends to address me that way. But it was the way she said it. And I thought, you know what? My mother was right. As a matter of fact, I have a little sign that I'm going to show you later on. And it's going to just kind of bring all of this together. So now, what else about the mother effect? I had a lesson, because sometimes there are lessons that you will never forget. I told you one of my lessons. One of the lessons was like responsibility. I really had to learn that. That's the one lesson that has always stuck with me. Another lesson was, and I used this saying when I was a teacher, and I would tell my kids this, whatever you perceive, you can achieve. In other words, If it's something that you really want to do, Janice, if it's a person or who you want to be, um, if you have it up here, you can do it. But you got to work for it. No one's going to hand it to you. So I always kind of that's another lesson that I learned. That's a serious lesson that I learned. That no matter what, if it's something that you really, really want to do, and that's a lesson I'm giving to anyone who's listening or watching. If it's something that you really perceive and you really want to do it, and it's nothing illegal, then go ahead, do it. Go for it. Don't put yourself in a box like, oh no, I can't do this. Oh no, you have that imposter syndrome. Oh, well, I would love to get my doctorate degree, but I don't think I'm smart enough. Um, I would love to be in movies, but no one's really going to hire me. Whatever it is you think. I want to be a head of a corporation, but gee, what do I know? If you perceive it, you can achieve it. And I remembered that always from what she said. Now, let's talk about another lesson. This is a kind of funny kind of lesson. So, I was the girl, right? I am the girl. And this is a lesson that I learned. Whenever my mom would cook, she always cleaned up as she was cooking. So now, when I got old enough and she would cook, it would be, okay, Janice, wash the dishes, clean this up, blah, 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 blah. Well, I'm a teenager, right? And my thing is, you know what? I don't understand why you got to wash the dishes the same day. Why you got to clean up the kitchen on the same day? Why can't you do it the next day? So I said to myself, you know what? When I get grown and I have my own kitchen and I do my own cooking, I'm not cleaning up until the next day. So, and what's this about taking the stuff out the pots and the pans and the skillets? If you're going to eat leftovers the next day, leave it in the pot, leave it in the skillet. So what I would do, she would go to bed, and it could be 2 tablespoons of something in a pot. I put it in the refrigerator. It could be 1 or 2 pieces of meat in the skillet. I put that in the refrigerator. Why would I wash pots and pans? We're going to use them the next day with the same food in it. Well, the lesson. I think it was like maybe 2:00 in the morning. I heard somebody, Janice, get up. Janice, get up. Now I'm thinking I'm dreaming. Janice, get up. I woke up, looked at my mother. She said, get up, go in that kitchen, get those pots out of that refrigerator, scrape those pots out, and wash them. What? So guess what? Now, and this happened more than once, because I would think she in the bed. She don't know. She got to get up early in the morning, go to work. She's not going to look in there. So I did it a couple of times, maybe 2 or 3 times. And I got awakened at 2:00 in the morning. Then I was told, don't you ever do it again. That did it. So now, lesson. Right now, habit. When I cook, I scrape out the pots, scrape out the skillet, wash them all, wash down the counter, wash everything. You would never know that I have cooked. But the lesson was You know, Janice, you don't have to do that in the morning. You do it as you're going along. That was the lesson. And that's something, so that's the little comical lesson. There were other lessons that, of course, I'm not going to share with you. Oh, well, I'll share this one. Smoking cigarettes. I was so happy that I learned this lesson. So, my mom smoked. So, way back then, she smoked Lucky Strikes. So, for you young folks out there, you probably don't even remember, like, Lucky Strikes, what's that? But anyway, it's a cigarette, no filters. And I decided, you know what? I want to smoke. And I don't know how old I was. I was very young. And the lady next door, I admired her because she was beautiful. She always had a cigarette in her mouth. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to steal one of my mother's cigarettes and I'm going to smoke. So I sat in the kitchen, I lit the cigarette, and I'm smoking. Got my legs crossed because I'm the lady next door. Well, the front door opened. It was my mother. I'm like, oh my God. I threw the cigarette in the garbage can in the kitchen. And she's, what's that I smell? I said, oh, I was cooking a hot dog and it burned. She said, that smells like cigarette smoke. Has the lady next door, I call her Joan. Has Joan been in here? I said, no, she hasn't been in here. She looked at me. She said, come here. And I said, what? And she said, what is that on your lip? It was a piece of tobacco right here from the cigarette. She said, you been smoking? I said, no, ma'am. She said, let me smell your breath. So dummy me, I don't exhale, I inhale. Like she can't smell it. You've been smoking. Now, then she looks over. It's a wisp of smoke coming from the garbage can. Now I'm getting ready to set the house on fire. Well, back in those days, you didn't get a scolding. You got a whipping. So let me say this to you. I didn't smoke again until I think I was in my 40s. And guess what? She didn't even know it. I was scared to tell her. And I'm in my 40s. So, 2 lessons. The lesson was don't smoke. And the other lesson was don't lie to your mama. And the other thing was you get caught in a lie. Don't lie. Just tell the truth. So, and Jacqueline Rogers says, yes, Jacqueline, your mother taught you discipline, self-reliance, and pride. You didn't see it then, but you know it now. Clean up as you go along, not only for the kitchen, but life as well. Thank you so much, Jacqueline Rogers. I love that. And you're right. So do you have any memories that you want to share? If you do, just put them in the chat. And thank you so much for that. So now, one phrase my mother always said, God, that's when you're like, here she goes again. What is she talking about? One of them was, I brought you into this world, I take you out. And I'm like, huh? And because as I got a little older, of course, I had a mouth, as they said, Back then they called it sassy. I was sassy. What's the title of this show? The Mother Effect. Guess what someone told me? She was from Texas, And we went on a vacation, and I met some friends of hers. Guess what they said? Yeah, your mom was sassy. What? And then I kind of just looked at her like, uh-huh, uh-huh. And then they started telling me things, and she stopped them. Be quiet. There are things that she doesn't need to know. Ah. And I thought, okay, that is part of the mother effect. Okay. So now I got a text from someone, and they said that what their mom always said to them was, this is going to hurt me more than it will hurt you. And a lie. Yes, it was a lie. My mother would say that too. She would say that if I got whipping. She would say that when she would punish me. And I would like, something gonna hurt you. One is hurting me. It's hurting me. And she told me that when she grounded me for I think it was about 2 weeks, as when I was a teenager. And I went someplace where she knew I was going, but I stayed longer than I was supposed to, missed the bus back home, had to walk home with my girlfriend, ended up getting in a car of a man who said he would take us home. Fortunately, he did. But then I told him to drop us off like it was a block from the house, so she couldn't see me coming home, but she was waiting for me. And she said, you know what? Number one, you're not going anywhere for 2 weeks. Number two, you are grounded. And it was this big dance coming up. And I started crying because I couldn't go to the dance. And she said, well, this hurts me more than it hurts you. So did your mom have a phrase that she always said and you thought, you know what? This is kind of ridiculous. Also, one thing that I hope to pass on, and its legacy. What legacy do you feel that your mom left you? My legacy, or her legacy that I feel that she left me, I really kind of talked about. Be honest, be authentic, be you. Don't hurt anyone on purpose. Sometimes you might hurt someone, but never on purpose. Be generous, be charitable. All of these things I think are very important for anyone when you think about legacy. Also, be, I would say, financially solvent. Just like, in other words, what I'm trying to say is like, watch your finances. In other words, don't be a spendthrift. Don't depend on anyone else when it comes to that. Be responsible. And I think that's really the major legacy, if I think about it, of what she left me. Be responsible in everything. Be responsible in your personal and your professional relationships. Because to me, because the show is called Relationship Matters, it's, to me, everything is about relationships. It can be about relationships with people. It can be a relationship about things. And when I say people, it can be your personal relationships and it can be your professional relationships. And with things, her thing, I would say one of the legacies was like, don't get caught up in things or in possessions because they can come and they can go. I would love to have a show. I've been kind of putting that out there about the relationships that we have with things for men and for women. For women, that dress that you know you can't get into anymore, but you love the dress and you're keeping it anyway because you got a relationship with that dress. But you can give that. You can be charitable and give that to someone else. So that's just, I'm just saying that. Even if you think about relationships with people, people who you keep having relationships with, and it's not helping you and it's not helping the other person. So holding on to things, and when you think about it, it still comes back to responsibilities. So give me some things that maybe your mom said to you, or just some things that you remember that your mom left you. Your love language. How did she teach you responsibility? The lessons, the phrases, something that she's passed on. Because when we talk about the mother effect, sometimes when we think about it, we don't think about it. We don't realize it. When I look at the mother effect, as far as I'm concerned, it's the way people say you sound just like her. It's the way I speak. Sometimes it's the words I use. It's definitely the way I dress, kind of conservative, but a little elegant. Um, the laughter, she loved to laugh. I got that from her. I love to laugh. So the mother effect. Now, what I've said is a lot of positive mother effects, but there's this sometimes there's this generational mother effect that's negative. And this is where my clients come in. When throughout the generations you don't see love, the legacy that's left is something negative. But when I talk with my clients and they have this negative persona, I go back in the generations. The first thing I do is I ask them, a daughter, do you know your mom? And they say, well, sure. I said, no, 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 no. Do you really know who she is? Number one, not only do you know who she is, but do you know why she is? I have even asked moms that. Even though we're talking about the mother effect, I ask them, do you really know your daughter? Oh, sure. Do you know why? You know who she is? Oh, sure. Do you know why she is? What do you mean by that? And then we go back to you and to generations. So this is just something, this was a show that I thought I would do, um, called The Mother Effect. And it's like I would call it post Mother's Day um, show, so to speak. So this is what I want to leave you with. We should honor the love that our mothers have shaped us, heal the wounds that we may have gotten that challenged us, and we should create a legacy that speaks long after we are gone. So your effect, what effect are you leaving? What legacy are you leaving? So if your name is Juanita, what's the Juanita effect? If your name is Jan, what is the Jan effect? Why I'm saying this? Because the mother effect never truly ends. It echoes through generations, through relationships, and the people that we become. So I hope that this particular episode has resonated with you. Now, let me say this for those who do not know. I do have a book. I authored an award-winning book. And the title of that book is The Secrets to How Not to Throw Mama from the Train. The book is available on Amazon. You could get the Kindle version. And because all my hardbacks, the hardcovers are sold out. So I have to do another publication with them. But you can go on Amazon.com and go to my name, Dr. Janice Hooker Fortman, or just type in The Secrets to How Not to Throw Mama from the Train. And this book is all about how to navigate the challenges in the adult daughter aging mother relationship. And in it, you will see the mother effect, the love, the lessons, and the legacy. So let me show you a little video. All righty. So I want to thank all of you who are listening and who are watching. I hope you really got something out of this show tonight. And I really appreciate you coming. And I'll be here again next week. It won't be me as the guest. It will be someone else. This will be a very, very, very interesting show. So I want you to take care. I want you to have a beautiful, blessed rest of your morning, afternoon, and evening. And I want you to remember, there are all kinds of relationships. There are all kinds of relationship matters. Life is about relationships. See you again next Thursday with Relationship Matters TV. Bye-bye.